Welcome to Let's Eat. I'm your host, Emily, holistic health coach and self-proclaimed wellness enthusiast, here to meet you at the intersection of physical and mental health, the exact location where optimal wellness lies. This podcast is meant to explore all areas of mind and body wellness, designed to offer you the integrative knowledge, behavioral strategies, and mindset shifts necessary to uplevel your health and feel better today. We'll explore nutrition, sleep, movement, self-care and stress management, habits and routines, gut health, mental health, and more. I am so happy that you're here. Welcome to the table. Let's eat. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Let's Eat. Today's conversation, we are talking all about making movement fun again. I am joined by my guest, Sienna Roman. She and her husband own Byond Barre, which is located in Lambertville, New Jersey. And Sienna and I have actually known each other for many, many years. She and I had a mutual friend back in preschool and kindergarten, I think it was. And we reconnected over social media, probably over the course of high school, I'd imagine. And, as with any social media account, you kind of continue to keep up with someone's life over the course of the years that, life unfolds. And I saw that Sienna had opened this new business in Lambertville, which is very close by to me. And I wanted to have her on the podcast to talk about her experience and her relationship with movement. I knew that her whole life she'd been a dancer. And so seeing now that her passion was coming together in this way as a business to support others in becoming their most confident, their healthiest selves, I just wanted to hear from her and hear, about that journey and what that was like for her and how that unfolded, not only as a fellow entrepreneur, but also someone who's obviously very passionate about about wellness. So Sienna and I dive into how, her journey with dance unfolded over the course of the years, the transitions that she made into adulthood, where dance was no longer something that, she wanted to pursue as a career because it really took the joy out of it. And then how she reinvented that for herself in the work that she's doing now at Byond Barre and supporting other individuals along their wellness journey. We talk about the narrative that exists within our culture about how movement is meant to be uncomfortable and painful. And, she really strives to make movement fun again. As I mentioned, she lists that on her website, and immediately I was drawn to that and I wanted to talk with her more about that because that really is so important to me, that we stop subscribing to this belief system that it's supposed to be painful or we have to do something that we don't enjoy, and really finding the movement that you most align with, that works for you, that brings you joy. That is always going to be the best, most effective, most sustainable way to move. So I'm really excited for you to tune in this conversation and to hopefully feel really re-enthused and remotivated to invest in your wellness and invest in your movement in this way, and really start that journey to finding a form of movement that works for you. Maybe trying out one of her classes. That might be something for you. She does include some information on her classes later on in the episode. If you're local, I highly recommend that you check her out. All of her information can be found in the show notes if you're interested in learning more and connecting with her. But now I invite you to warmly welcome Sienna Roman to the table, and let's eat. Hi, Sienna. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm really excited for our conversation.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. So let's dive in with, tell us how you got started with dance. Kind of walk us through your childhood into your adolescence and what your relationship with dance has looked like over the years.
Oh boy. So I started dance lessons when I was 2. My mom would bring me to like ballet class and like the little, that little kid class that every
Yeah.
like little daughter,
Oh my God.
probably
The
most all
little
daughters have tried.
leotards.
Yes,
Yeah.
cute little ballet shoes. Like there's nothing cuter than a little 2-year-old wearing ballet shoes. And I think for the first couple of years I like went kicking and screaming, but thankfully
Okay.
we stuck it out. And
Yeah.
ballet turned into tap, and tap turned into jazz and point and lyrical, modern, the whole kind of gambit. And then it just was like who I was. It's how I identified until I went to college. And so it was a huge part of your life. Like I feel like anyone who dances even through high school, it's just like you have your community, you have your friends, it's where you spend your
Sure.
time after school. And it was something like after college, I just wasn't sure if it was going to be my career because it was something I loved so much. It was just something
Yeah.
to release. And I have like other interests as well. So yeah, tried it in college, didn't like it as much in college because it just felt more of like yeah, it was a degree. So it was like
Yeah.
academic.
Yeah.
And then I just missed it so much after college. It was just like a huge
Mm-hmm.
part of my life that you've spent so many hours doing for your entire childhood.
Of
Um,
course.
and then just more recently, just got reacquainted with it. I was like trying to find dance classes for adults outside of Philadelphia and New York City, just living in like Hunterdon County. I'm not sure where your listeners are, but I live in like central New Jersey.
Sure.
It's very hard to find any sort of adult dance class for people who have a dance background. Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, so that's kind of where the whole journey has led to, but love it so much. My release, I love moving my body and just, dancing to music. And it's the most wonderful
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. And I can't imagine how challenging that must have been going into college. And you mentioned dance being a part of your identity, which
Mhm.
absolutely, because even at 2 years old, you're so young. And so you're growing up in that space. It's not like you started when you were in your teens or, late teens or early 20s or anything. You started so early that that was very much a part of your identity. So now moving into being an adult, it's like,
Mhm.
okay, well, what am I doing with this, right? Is this something that's meant for a career, or is that going to take the joy out of it for me? So when you say a career in dance, or if you had pursued a degree in dance or whatever the technical name is for that degree, what would that have looked like in the real world?
Yeah, I mean, so many of the people I grew up with did pursue careers in dance. So what that looked like for them is they either went to teaching. I think most people probably taught in some way. I know I have one good friend who teaches at like a dance studio or a dance gym. Like she teaches
Okay.
dance fitness.
Okay.
So that was a way that she maintained it. Some people go on cruises and they're like dancers on like cruise ships. A lot of people went to Disney. They would do Broadway or at least tried to get into Broadway. Um,
Yeah.
and just auditions and auditions and auditions. And like the life of auditions, I think me being
Mm.
more of the planning personality,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
just like living day by day, not knowing if you're going to have a job was it just sounded very stressful for me.
Sure.
And for certain would take the love out of it because it would just
Absolutely.
you're relying on it for your income. And so it was just something that was more of a release for me. So for people who I think love it enough to turn to it for their to provide for their cost of living, um, that's a wonderful skill and passion to have for it. I just wasn't there. It's more of
Yeah.
my release. So, mhm.
Yeah. Well, I think that's really inspiring that you learned that sooner rather than later to some extent, right? Because you were able to then maybe preserve some of that and you weren't trying to force it and say, no, but I have to do this. This is so much of who I am and this is what I love. And then losing that joy for it in the midst of, like you're saying, the auditions, right? Like knowing every single day, okay, am I going to get this role? Is this going to happen for me? And you're right, it becomes very stressful, and you're starting to entangle your livelihood with something that was meant for really just, like you're saying, an outlet, and it becomes very complex. So if you're built to navigate that, by all means, go ahead. You do
Yeah,
you, but it sounds like you kind of figured out, like, yeah, this isn't for me. This is I can't
yeah,
I can't merge the two.
yeah, for sure. I mean, I also I loved the community aspect of it and the friends that you'd make. And I'm sure that like a lot of the people who do pursue careers in dance, they make friends like when you just see the same people at auditions. But
Sure.
I'm just like not competitive at all either.
Yeah.
And just auditioning, like I'd probably be the one to be like, oh my gosh, like you did so good. Like you
You
should get
deserve
that
this.
part. And I would just be so like anxiety stricken of just like,
Yeah.
yeah, having to
Yeah.
compete with people over something
Right.
is just so fun for me. Like I want everyone to just love it and it never
Yeah.
disappoint you. Uh,
Right.
So yeah, it just wasn't really for me. Uh,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So then what did you transition to in school? What did you end up studying?
So I studied graphic design and business management. I entrepreneurship was like a dream of my just a dream of mine from a very early age.
Okay.
And design. I remember like the first job I ever wanted to do was be a fashion designer when I was like 9.
Yeah.
So I was like designing like little clothes and learning how to sew and all of that. And then I realized how ruthless the fashion industry was. So I'm like, oh,
Mm.
probably isn't for me. There more of that competition, like fear of
Yeah.
competition coming in.
Okay.
That's another thing too. I never did competition in dance. I only performed. So it really maintained the art form of it for me. It
Yeah.
was never like
Okay.
a sport, but it kept me active, which was nice. And then so the fashion design dream kind of turned into interior design, and then interior design turned into like a web design dream. And so out of college, I got my degree in business management and graphic design, and then that's kind of like led me to the career path that I chose. So
Okay.
mhm.
All right. So after school, you went right into maybe opening your first business. Is that fair to say? And then go ahead.
So I started working at a marketing agency in,
Okay.
up in North Jersey, and that taught me a ton. I interned there for a couple of years, and then I worked there for about a year after college. Ended
Okay.
up leaving at like month 11 only because so I got married right out of college to my boyfriend at the time of 8 years, and we had lived in about 90 minutes from where I was working, so the commute was really hard.
Oh gosh, yeah.
um, just like being in the car. It's like you go from such an active life in college, to like moving and dancing and walking to like sitting in the car now for like 3 hours a day and just to sit
Sure.
at a desk for 8+ hours a day.
Yeah, yeah.
The life just kind of gets sucked out of you. But the people were great. The work was fine. It was just that the life outside of work was really draining. So
Yeah.
took what I learned, moved total extreme. I started working as an in-house graphic designer for a public speaking agency right half a mile from where I lived. It was an
Oh
awesome
my
place.
God. Yeah, what a change.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh. So I was walking to work every day, which was so nice and just a really
Okay.
good balance, just being in-house versus like a marketing agency style where your life is kind of dependent on whatever the client needs for the day.
Sure.
So it was really good. And then from there, I was there for like 6 years, and then that inspired me to start my own business. And
Okay.
so for the last 3 years, I've run a business called Mozaic Collective, and it's a creative agency. We do design services, marketing services, and lead generation services for solopreneurs and small to medium-sized businesses. And
Okay.
that's a really lovely gift of everyone it's introduced me to and the lifestyle that it's given myself.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's amazing. And good for you for making that transition because 90 minutes versus a 10-minute or
Oh,
15-minute leisurely
two.
walk, two 2 minute,
2 minute
right?
drive.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That changes everything. And your
Mhm.
quality of life, I can't even imagine, that just that alone, the change that that can make. Um, so you've started your first business. Now let's move on and talk a little bit about what inspired you to open your studio, which we'll talk in great length about.
Yeah. So, oh man. So, um, I was in a good place with Mosaic after 2.5 years of running that. And then we started to get support from other people, steady, flow of clients coming in. My husband left his job to join me. And so together
Okay.
we run Mosaic, and we just have a really great team. I know people are like really weirded out by husband and wife leading a business, but we do it really well. I'm really grateful for
Okay.
our partnership. We're just
Yeah.
different things. So comes together well. And so, yeah, we just realized like, we can do this. Like entrepreneurship is fun and it's exhilarating. It's scary at times, but it's so rewarding. Uh,
Yeah.
I always had this dream. So I've been teaching bar on the side
Mm.
for 6 years.
Okay.
It was just my one way of like maintaining a little bit of dance in my life, even though it's not dance. It's just that some of the terms make you feel like you're close to it.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
teaching at like a local gym for fun, essentially, and just getting to meet some people locally. I actually the full story with that is I started working at a gym strategically because I wanted to get a bar position,
Okay.
but I couldn't apply for the job, so I applied to be their front desk person. And I worked as the front desk person while having a full-time job. So I would just work at night. I'm like, oh, this is a fun way to meet people, get my foot in the door. And then one day they were like, you dance, right? I was like, yeah. And they're
Yeah.
like, we're looking for a sub. I'm like, I'll do it.
Oh my goodness. Good for you though. I mean, that's
Worked
and most
out.
people would not have done that,
I
right? Like
know.
wouldn't have taken that front desk position. So good for you.
Yeah, you gotta humble yourself sometimes. So
Yeah,
I was
of
like going
course.
right for my full time at 5 p.m. I'd go to take my little shift from 5 to 10. I would meet people and it was fun. It was chill. But then as soon as I
Yeah.
got my bar position, I'm like, that's what I
Yes.
needed. I'm
That's
good.
what that's what I'm here for actually. Thank you.
So I would teach, a couple classes a week there and definitely wasn't enough to like maintain, I would say, a healthy lifestyle, but it was
Okay.
enough to just get my movement in once or twice a week and then have my full time and figure out that balance. So anyway, so opening up a bar studio was a dream that kind of started young or
Okay.
young in my bar experience.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
it's, it's fun. I really like it. Um, and then once Mosaic was in a good spot, we had this like big opportunity last in May of 2024 where it just kind of like my purpose was revealed to me and my husband after a vacation, and we just realized that our mutual passion is helping people feel more confident in who they are through our
Mm,
gifts. And so whatever we
yeah.
can do, whether it's with design, whether it's with fitness, just instilling people's confidence in themselves. So helping
Yeah.
open up their eyes to see how wonderful they are and all of the ways that yeah, just they have these strengths that they can use or just the beauty or the ability, their various abilities, whatever that may be, whether it's unique or similar to anyone else, like just to feel
Sure.
good about it. And so that was revealed to us about in like June-ish, May-ish. And then in July, I had a crazy door open via Facebook
Okay.
Marketplace. I was looking for an elliptical for myself
Okay.
for my basement. And then I saw
Yeah.
that came up and it said, an entire yoga studio worth of equipment for sale for like a ridiculously low price. And I'm like, I'm just gonna go. And so I checked it out. I
Yeah.
met the guy. He was so nice. He's opened like 5 other gyms before. He was like giving me
Okay.
information, like, I think you should do this. Like the location you're thinking is really great. The name is awesome. The setup's great. So he was so affirming. So I'm like, all
Okay.
right. And so I went home. I'm like, it's my husband's name is Denisio. I was like, I think this is the door. I think it's really clear. We
Yeah.
did it. We bought the stuff. We were planning on just hanging on to it until a bigger door opened, and then the pieces just fell right into place immediately. Found a place, it was perfect.
Okay.
My brother had moved in with us at that time, and so he helped us build the studio. My husband painted the studio. My father-in-law helped wherever he needed. It's a whole family affair. All of my family members came, moved all of the yoga equipment into the
Yeah.
bar studio,
Okay.
and it came to be. And so we opened in October, like
Wow.
3 months after I bought the stuff, signed the lease, and it's been so fun. I love
How cool.
yeah, it's
And
great.
also just making the decision to buy all that equipment and God forbid it hadn't come together. Now you
Mhm.
have like all, all of this
I know.
equipment, right? Which I mean, you probably could easily gotten off your hands, right? Like, you
Yes.
could sell Facebook Marketplace is the best for that. But um that's wild going from July to October and
Mhm.
having such a turnaround and it sounds to me that that unfolding was entirely meant to be, right?
Oh, for sure.
You could not have argued otherwise because of how it sounds. Now, I'm sure you encountered your challenges and setbacks and so forth, but it sounds otherwise rather seamless in the whole process.
Yeah. I think seamless is a hard word because it was so much hard work. And like
Sure.
it's like when you go through entrepreneurship, you have to just mind your way through all these like walls and battles. And even when you're so tired, it's like I just believe in myself. I know this is where it's supposed to be right now. And so
Yeah,
you just
yeah.
keep pushing. Um, and but at the end of the day, like it was so much more fun than it was hard. And that's kind of what just kept me going because it was so different than what I've done in the past. Like my work was
Yeah.
always design and web design and branding and marketing. And then this was like let me just have fun with this and see what happens.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Okay. Love that. What an inspiring journey, even though it was in a matter of a couple months, but that's amazing. So tell me a little bit about like the formulation of the idea behind Beyond Bar, right? The philosophy that you utilize and your, conceptualization of maybe how the classes would look and all that.
Oh, yeah, good question. So I have like an idea notebook that whenever I'm like feeling bored or uninspired, I'll like jog or jot in there and just start creating ideas that I build on for years and years. And so Beyond Bar was like an idea that I had a long time ago. And it was basically just creating a space for people to work out outside of a gym.
Okay.
Because I grew up in dance in a dance studio, I never did any sort of like gym workouts. It was
Right.
just dance and then maybe like some conditioning and gymnastics or whatever.
Sure.
So gyms were a very uncomfortable place for me. So I would go and I just was not comfortable. And I know as a woman, especially, that is not a unique experience. A lot of us feel
Yeah.
that way. And so I just always wanted to create a space that felt like fun and inspiring and like it wasn't like you were really working out. So I had all these ideas for like class types that would inspire me and sounded really fun to me. And so I'd write those down. And then when Beyond Bar came to be, I just kind of consolidated all my notes that I've had for years and years, and then realized I wanted to create a studio that synthesized bar, dance, and then other types of fitness into one.
Okay.
And so that's when the name Beyond Bar came to be, because I wanted it to be primarily bar, but like bar plus.
Yeah.
Because I do love dance. I love dance fitness, and I think dance is so good for the mind as well.
Sure.
So, and people around the area where I live, they are already very like familiar with yoga and Pilates, and
Yes, for
I bring
sure.
all of that together in one studio. So it's birthed in bar, and then I would say our next big thing is dance, and I want to keep leaning into the dance fitness aspect to it because of the
Yeah.
amazing results people are seeing from just doing dance regularly as adults.
Yeah. Wow. I love that. And definitely familiar with the area that you're in and know that that's very a yoga, Pilates type of vibe that I'm with, what I know about the area. So you're
Mhm.
bringing this infusion of a different type of movement that I'm sure
Yeah.
people are unfamiliar with, right? But it's catering to the population that's there, but then also giving them something different and obviously something that's more in alignment with your passions. And so I can see why that's so fulfilling for you because you're meeting a need, but you're also introducing people to something that you've loved for years, in a way that they can find results, like you're saying, and really enjoy
Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's interesting just like hearing you say that because I made just a connection just now. It's like Beyond Bar it was like my way to play. And I
Yeah.
feel like as an adult, I haven't had the opportunity to play much since college or even high school, really, or even before high school. It was always
Yeah.
just pursuing a goal, getting a grade, getting into college,
Right.
graduating with a certain GPA, getting the first job, like it was always just so like driven. And so I'm 29, so I'm just trying to figure out how to play again as an
Yeah.
adult. And Beyond Bar was my way of like, let's play. Like, let's see what happens. Let's not be afraid of failure. If we fail, at least we learn so many of the lessons along the way. But I'm hoping that like I can at least touch some lives through this. And
Right.
so with that play aspect, I wanted to also bring play to other people as well. And I feel like with the workouts we do, if they're just so playful,
Yeah.
fun. They're especially with the dance, like they're totally uncomfortable for a lot of people, but by the end of the class, people leave with the biggest smile on their face. Like, I
Yeah.
had a woman say to me 2 weeks ago, she's like, I have not had this much fun as an adult ever in my life. I'm like,
Oh my
that's what I'm going
God.
for. Yes.
I love that. What a
So fun.
testimonial, right?
Oh my
Like
gosh, my
hearing
heart
that
was
alone.
bursting. I was like, you literally made
Yes.
my dream come true right now.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my goodness. That makes me so happy to hear,
Mhm.
like especially as it relates to movement, right? And that kind of makes me, kind of give this narrative that we've kind of created in our culture around movement.
Mhm.
It causes me to give that more thought, right? And
Mhm.
it prompts me to kind of want to hear your thoughts on this because, we've created this understanding that movement is painful, movements
Mhm.
uncomfortable. And you had brought up the point earlier about how women really feel this level of intimidation in the gym
Mhm.
and attending gyms because there's a lot of masculine energy in a lot of these gyms. I don't think we're given much guidance on how we should be moving our body. I think we're actually misled in a lot of ways that we should be doing these high intensity, cardio driven workouts and foregoing them, strength training and recovery and
Mhm.
there's just a lot of misinformation, right? And I don't need to go into that realm of health. But what I would like to talk about is on your website, you talk about how you were determined to make movement fun again, which I think is so beautiful. And I love that. And I read that and I immediately smiled because I love that mentality. Because for me personally, it took several years to get to a place where I was actually really thoroughly enjoying my workouts and I was doing it more for my mental health. And
Mhm.
obviously, physical health is important too. But a lot of my workouts are really coming from a place of my mental health because I love how I feel afterwards and I enjoy it, right? So, how do you find this narrative, maybe in your experience in your business or just what you know over the course of your time and your relationship with movement? How do you find that this narrative inhibits people from investing in their relationship with movement?
Well, I think you really hit the nail on the head because you were using the words should in your what you were just saying, like I should be going to the gym or, all of these words. And that was, full circle back to the culture. Like I think the culture that I've seen, at least especially on social media, it's less about movement, it's more about body image. And
Sure.
body image is like just looking a certain way. And I think I was like, I can't remember how old I was, but I got to a certain age and I'm short. I'm 5'2". I do not have the body of a supermodel, and I never will because I am 5'2".
Sure.
I got to that realization where I'm like, why am I aspiring to have a body where I have to be 10 inches taller in order to
Right.
achieve that look? Like
Right.
it's never
Right.
gonna
Right.
happen. So
Yeah.
I'm just gonna try to be my best self and just be proud of that journey.
Yeah.
And so once I just was like so frustrated. I'm like, why is movement a chore? I have to do work, 40 plus
Mm,
hours a week, do my laundry, cook all the food. And of course, my husband helps with all this too. But, like take care of the house, blah, blah, blah. And then I also have to work out. Like I should be doing
mm,
it.
mm-hmm.
Oh, this should be our release. Like, my gosh, we know
Yeah.
like what a gift that we can move our bodies. And people
Sure.
here, like when people get that taken away from them, like they say, I wish I had valued that more. I wish I
Yes.
valued my health when I had it.
Yes.
And so I'm taking that advice so seriously. Like, I want to create a space where the gift of movement really is so enjoyable and it's never something where you feel like you have to do it or you should be doing more of it. Like,
Yeah.
celebrate that. So I like in our studio, we do not use any language around trying to like achieve a body image or getting
I love that.
skinny or burning fat because that will come naturally. I never want that to be the goal because I don't think that's sustainable or healthy, really. Um,
Sure.
I'm all about consistency, accountability, and fun.
Yeah.
I say on my website, if it's not fun, you won't do it. So
Mm,
it doesn't really matter what you do. Like maybe you're listening to this and you're like, bar sounds stupid. Great. Don't do bar. Do something else that makes you move.
sure. Yeah.
Even if it's just walking, like walk consistently 3 times a week, and whatever aspirations you have will just fall into place naturally.
Sure.
Um, so that's my opinion. So I think around the culture of movement, I think it's trying to bring the beauty of movement back into it and just
Yeah.
doing what you love consistently as a gift to yourself and not as another chore on your to-do list.
Yeah. I love that. And I really align with what you said about removing the the fixation on the weight loss or a certain number
Mhm.
on the scale or and that's I do get some pushback when I meet with new clients around that because I honor the fact that they want to achieve a certain weight loss goal and a
Mhm.
lot of clients do come to me with the intent of that. But I make it very clear both in my conversation with them and on my website. It's there, it's listed. This is not a weight loss program, right? This
Mhm.
is not meant with simply that in mind. I'm focused on helping you achieve better health and restoring your wellness and improving in those areas. And like you're saying, with your philosophy, everything else will find its way. It's
Yeah.
just creating sustainability is what's most important. And like you're also saying, if you're not having fun, it's basic human nature, right? We're not
I
going
don't
to
want to do it.
voluntarily want to do something that's painful. Now, don't get me
Mm-mm.
wrong, there are things in life we have to go through in
Mm.
order to grow, in order to move forward, and they're not always going to be the most fun things in the whole world. But when it comes to movement, we can redefine it for ourselves and we can find alternative ways of going about it that don't include forcing ourselves to go run 10 miles. I don't think you should be running 10 miles unless you're training for a marathon. But the point is you're not forcing yourself to go do something that you think is prescriptive or that's what we should be doing, or well, so and so says I have to, lift 20 pounds, whatever, right? Like having that mentality, I think, is really inhibiting us to finding the enjoyment that you're mentioning and the fun in movement. And I think taking the time to really reflect on what movement brings me joy or what would I maybe be willing to try. Like you're saying, maybe someone's listening and saying, "No, bar's not for me." Okay, that's fine. Would maybe you be open to giving it a go one time and seeing if it's not for you? I think that that's something that we should all be flexible in being willing to do because you just never know.
Yeah.
But really dismantling this narrative that it has to be hard, it has to be uncomfortable, it has to be unenjoyable.
Yeah.
That is so important that we're talking more about this conversation because of how sedentary we all are and
Yes.
how it doesn't have to be this challenging. It doesn't have to be this complex, you know?
No. Oh my gosh, I know. And maybe it's like just the philosophy is because like progress does happen through like, just the nature of life. You learn the most important lessons during your hardest seasons. Suffering leads to growth. Like there is
Sure.
a tie, but like how movement kind of got lumped into that, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's disappointing because it's like it doesn't actually have to be that hard. Actually, this is a good story. I remember, so my husband used to play collegiate football,
Mm-hmm.
and when he stopped doing that, like that was a big part of his identity. And so he stopped doing that, and he like didn't want to work out anymore because it was such a chore for so long that
Mm-hmm.
whenever he did dip his toes back into lifting, he like felt like he had to push himself to the same extreme points that he would push
Mm.
himself when playing football because
Sure.
football you actually have to build your body armor so you don't hurt yourself.
Of course.
Like as when you move, it's like you don't actually have to push yourself to these crazy extremes because when you do, it doesn't create sustainability because it's not
Yeah.
desirable. It's so impossibly hard. Um, and I think I was doing that a lot too. Like when I would work out with before bar, thinking that if I am not, getting my heart rate to this crazy degree, or if I'm not running at least this many miles, or if I'm not going at least 60 minutes of exercise a day, then it's a failure. And so then you're
Yeah.
just not going to do it.
Right.
So it's like you have to just move a little. Like,
Yeah.
so I just started walking. And during COVID, that's all I did was walk because I had no energy
Yeah.
for anything else. And that kept me okay. It kept me healthy.
Sure.
Um, wasn't ideal, like, but it was great. Like I
Sure.
liked it. It was good for my mental health. It
Sure.
didn't give me disappointment and it didn't like push me harder than I needed to during that time. And so now it's just like I think just getting rid of that idea that you have to like really hurt yourself to make
Yeah.
progress. Just push yourself for you, find something you like, do it because you like it.
Mm-hmm.
And I also talk about like habits too. It's like
Mm-hmm.
we always have this idea like, oh, it takes X amount of days to develop a habit, but no
Sure.
one really talks about like the desire behind it. Like creating a habit, you have to have some desire to do it too.
Sure.
So I'm not going to create a habit to like, do something that's going to hurt me every day for 90 days. That doesn't sound really fun.
Sure.
Um, But if I can create a movement habit because I want to, it takes the chore out of creating the habit. You just do it because you want to. And then one
Yeah.
day, oh my gosh, I've been doing this consistently for 6 months. I didn't even realize it. Like
Right.
that's how I really want it to start to become for people, not a chore. So
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And I think too, even if somebody were to find starting with something like bar and the movement that you're offering just like you're saying, to dip your toe into it. I mean, walking is a great example. That's something that I always start with clients is supporting them and just creating that habit and that sustainability because I mean, I think walking is one of the most powerful things we can do
Mhm.
for our mental health and our physical health. And so I would never discredit that for anyone at any level of fitness or activity, wherever they're at in their fitness journey. I think walking can be beneficial. But, say something, in your arena where something like dance fitness or Zumba or, something of that nature.
Mhm.
And that's something that somebody finds alignment with, at the very least, they're breaking a sweat. They're getting their body moving. They're doing something, and then that could potentially segue into other forms of movement because they're realizing, wow, my body feels good, my mental health is better, the endorphins are flowing. Maybe I should try this. Maybe I should go with this. And then seeing that unfold. And that can open doors to so many different wonderful forms of movement, which I firmly believe we should be diversifying our movement as often as we can because of what it does for our muscle groups and for our mental health too, right? To kind of avoid any of that monotony. But you lit up there. Did you have something to add?
Yes, because I think like you mentioned, you said if you just do something consistently, maybe it will lead to other forms of movement, but it actually like unfolds to so many other benefits, which I'm sure you talk to your clients about all the time. Like my sleep has been so good
Totally.
the last seven
Yeah.
months. Like people don't know this, but like before Beyond Bar, I worked out once a week. I'm one of
Okay.
those weirdos that like, why'd you open the studio? I was like, I needed accountability to work out. And they're
Yeah.
like, couldn't you have just like hired a personal trainer? I was like, no, I had to
Yeah,
open a
right.
gym. Um, so like Beyond Bar is keeping me working out. Like that's one of the nice benefits is like I have to go. That takes the
Sure.
motivation completely out of it because your motivation is going to waver from day to day.
Yes.
So anyway, so all that to say is like I've had people tell me um their anxiety levels have decreased tremendously. They've, relied on other things to decrease anxiety and they no longer have to do that anymore.
Amazing.
Sleep is better. Overall confidence levels are sky high. Like, oh,
Yeah.
it's so amazing to see women look at themselves and be so proud, not of how
Yeah.
they look, but of how strong they are and what they're doing.
Yes.
And I'm like, it's just the greatest thing in the entire world. Um, oh gosh, other things, discipline, just generally, because now they have,
Sure.
they're like, I always come at my Tuesday and Thursday class. I always come. And once I do that, then I do this right after. And so it's creating schedule and routine in people.
Sure.
And just compounding benefits. When something in your life
Totally.
is consistent through classes that get you there because you sign up and you have to follow through in your commitment, beautiful repercussions that just trickle into your life. One other thing I wanted to mention too is I actually like encourage people when they sign up. We do generally we do the subscription package, and the reason
Okay.
for that is because people are like, "Why don't you do class packs?" Because with class packs, you are motivated. You buy 10 class packs in a day, and then that motivation drops, and then we don't see you
Sure.
for 6 months. How does
Yeah.
that help you? It doesn't. So, and then of course there's anomalies to that. So with our memberships, people, come monthly and they're able to come as many times as they want. But they start to develop that routine where they're coming,
Yeah.
seeing their friends. They're excited to just hang out with their friends for an hour and move. When you first start, so you haven't worked out since COVID or ever, they're like, all right, I'm going to come 4 times a week. I'm like, please don't. Because if you come 4 times a week, you're only going to set yourself up for a disappointment when you're no longer coming 4 times a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Strive for one. When you start doing one, go to two. When you go to two, go to three. And I think 3 times a week is great. I think 4 times a week is great too. I probably wouldn't do more than that. But that's my
Yeah.
philosophy on that too. Like create a sustainable movement. You don't have to go to 0 to 100. Just
Yeah.
kind of ease into it, create sustainability.
I
So
love that. I think that that is so beautiful that you are also guiding your clientele in that way, right? Where you are very intentional about what you offer, right? For
mhm,
the sake of their success. Because what you're saying is right. Motivation is fleeting, right? You're not always going to feel motivated. You're going to have days where or weeks or months where you're just not feeling it. Sometimes, in most cases, we have to create our own motivation. Why is it that we
mhm.
want to do this? Why is it that I, have this goal for myself? And so, really, giving that guidance to them up front and supporting them in that thought process about why you structure things the way you do or what you suggest based on where they're at and where they're starting. I'm sure I'm sure the clientele really appreciate that perspective because it allows them in some capacity where it's, like you're saying in the moment, they're like, oh, I'm going to come four
Yeah.
times. And you're like, well, I love the ambition. I
Yeah.
love the
I love
excitement.
it. I'm glad you
And
like it.
yes, and I hope that in a couple months I can see you here four times, but let's start in a more realistic way and let's
Mhm.
gradually build, especially for the sake of someone who's coming into movement maybe for the first time in a long time. It can be
Mhm.
a lot for the body and recovery and to prevent any kind of injury and just adjusting to movement. That definitely has to be considered too. I loved how you also mentioned before the compounding benefits of movement and how we look at movement in a way, and a lot of times that's very narrow. And, movement means weight loss. Movement
Mhm.
means, a certain number on the scale, right? And what you're saying, especially from your personal experience and the feedback you're getting from the clients, it's incredible what you actually gain when you start to develop a consistent, sustainable relationship with movement. And that in and of itself is reinforcing, right? That in and of itself is what keeps you coming back. And that's what I don't think people understand until it happens to them. And that's what
Yeah.
makes the whole experience daunting. It's like, what, I have to do this for the rest of my
Yes.
life. I have to do this for, and it's like, listen, it'll take care of itself because you're going to love it. You're going to want to have more of it and feel good with it. You're going to miss it when it's not there. And it'll work out on its own, because you're going to want to do it. It's going to be more habitual. And that, motivation is going to come from the fact that you feel good. So I'm
Mhm.
glad that you touched on that because absolutely mental health, physical health benefits there. The list is endless,
Oh
endless.
my gosh. Yeah, it's so great. Even like I just went on vacation last week and I didn't really move much.
Sure.
Oh my gosh. Brain fog. I was eating all the wrong things, which made me
Mm,
feel bloated, which affected my confidence, which affected
sure.
my, overall mood. Like it's just has the negative effect too when you like lose it. Like even if it's not movement regularly that you start with, maybe it's eating healthy regularly, I don't know. Just starting with one thing that you do
Sure.
consistently, a commitment to yourself, but it also should be somewhat fun so that it
Yeah.
doesn't feel like a chore. Like even with Byond Barre, like I try to supplement with other things. We have such fun music. People become friends, so you feel like you're hanging out with your friends, as I mentioned. So I'm trying to like help people get there, even if it still kind of feels like a chore. Oh, well, at least I get to hang out with my friends. Oh, it's
Yes.
like they're playing a favorite song,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you kind of get over your own mind a little bit, and I try to help them out there. But um,
Yeah.
it's a cool
Okay.
space to be in.
Yes,
So yeah.
absolutely. So, can you walk us through like a class? I'm very curious. I will
Sure.
be honest, I'm not totally familiar with what a typical bar class looks like. I kind of know, but kind of give me your breakdown of what a typical class looks like, with instruction. I'm sure there's some sort of instruction that you lead and then you got, kind of give me the step by step, the play by play of what a class looks like.
Sure. So every teacher is going to teach it differently, and you'll
Sure.
have different, certain franchises have their own ways. I teach my own original bar classes. All my classes are called Beyond Bar because it's my own
Yeah.
thing. The
Yeah.
way I teach is so we start class with a little warm up in the center, which is just head circles, arm circles, reaching side to side. And then we head to the bar to start our work. So
Okay.
once we're warm, warm up takes like 5 minutes or so. And then you spend the
Mm-hmm.
next, I would say, 45 minutes of class doing bar work and then center work. So the bar work is for my classes really focused on leg strength. And so it's bar for people who really have no idea what bar is. Bar is, it comes from like the ballet bar that
Sure.
people would use to train. And we have similar positions that ballerinas would be in, but we
Okay.
don't, it's not dance at all. And I think that's the biggest misconception. People say, oh, I can't do bar, I'm not graceful. Oh, I can't do bar, I'm not flexible. There is no grace or flexibility required or coordination even required to do bar. It's just repetitive, small movements that get your
Okay.
muscles fired up. And
Yeah.
then you maintain that fire to make progress.
Yeah.
So I
Okay.
try to get my clients like you, like for instance, I'll walk through one standard position, hands on the bar, you're facing the wall, you come up on your toes, and then you bend your knees. And so when you're there, your quads are activated like crazy. And then you
Sure.
just do a bunch of lowers and you're just counting 1, 2, 3, 4. And then by the time you're at like, I don't know, 36,
Okay. Oh
you
God.
are
Yeah. Okay.
feeling the fire.
I'm
And so we try to
sure.
fit it. That's why I have to have fun music because if there was no music, no one would do it. It's like
Yeah.
you're
Right.
just doing
Right.
all the reps. But I actually find it really meditative because I count in my head every rep. And so
Okay.
there's a lot of like breathing exercises that are all around counting because it helps
Awesome.
release your mind from everything else because you're focused on
Focused.
counting.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so we do like, movements. So every 16 counts, we'll usually try to switch it up. So 16
Okay.
counts, raise the right arm, raise the left arm, open the knees, second position, lunge position, all that stuff. So you'll see like, even though you'll hear words like releve, plie, um, arabesque, you also hear words like lunge, squat, curl, press, things that other people are familiar with who do strength training. So once you do work at the bar, come to the center for my classes. We do like a 10-minute arm thing where your arms just feel like so good and so strong. And
Okay.
by the end, a little numb.
Yeah.
And then head
Never
down
hurt
to the
anybody,
floor.
right?
And then you head down to the floor and then you do core work for the last 10 minutes or so. So full body
Okay.
workout every class, and you kind of just hit all the muscle groups in different stages. So it's fun.
Okay.
Sometimes there's more cardio, sometimes there's less cardio, but it's bar is never dance, it's never graceful, and it's never flexible. You just work out in more contained, low impact, very easy and accessible movement.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. And that is, I love the low impact piece of that because I think that that really goes against what we've been told is we need to be doing jump lunges and jump
Mm.
squats and all of these crazy movements. I recently started taking hot Pilates classes and I've been loving them. And it's very similar in that vibe where it's gentle movement repeated,
Mhm.
but there are small movements that challenge your body in ways which sounds very similar to what you're explaining that is very, very effective, but it doesn't require, heavy, heavy weights. It doesn't require,
Mhm.
like I said, to jump around and it's a lot of mind body, which I like you said is very much, kind of the vibe that you're bringing into your classes as well. And like you're saying with the counting, our brains can only focus on one conscious thought at a time. So if you are only focusing on what you're saying, the counting or being aware of where you're feeling it in your body or whatever, you can't help but disconnect from all the other things.
Yes.
So I think
It's the
bringing that
best.
mindfulness into it,
Yeah.
that brings on that mental health benefit as well.
I agree. And it's like after every exercise, you just feel so proud because you were
Yeah.
in a fire, right? Like your muscles feel fired up, but you overcame it. And
Yeah.
like, wow, what a cool thing to do every day is just to like get out of your comfort zone, overcome something that was hard, but by your own choice and feel stronger for it. So I think it's just a good mental exercise for people. So it's fun.
Yeah, I love that. So, who are you finding gravitates towards your form of movement? Are you seeing a diversity of clientele? Are you seeing like a general kind of theme of people coming in?
Yeah, I would say so different gyms are going to attract different people. I would say our gym, like if you look it up, or our studio, I should say, it's very colorful. I wanted it to be very colorful. I know a lot of people are doing more neutral tones right now with
Mm-hmm.
beiges and whites, and I'm like, I don't want any of that. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
went
okay.
dark teal, peach, red, purple, all the
Yeah.
colors, and then funky fonts. Um, and so I think that brand has attracted a lot of women naturally. We do have some men, which I always cheer them on because it's so fun. We had actually a couple couples who would do it together, which was so cute.
Oh, I love that.
Um, but mostly women for
Okay.
sure. And then our ages range from age 22 to 80. And that is a testament for how sustainable the workouts are, because the people who
Yeah.
are 80 would say 72 to, especially 72 to 77. There's 6 women who have been training in my classes for 6 years now, and they kick everyone's butts.
Oh
So
my gosh.
they're
Yeah.
amazing. And so people will start, like, they'll come and maybe I'll have like a 30-year-old and they'll come and then they'll be standing next to these women and they're like, how are these people doing these? I'm like,
Right.
because they
Yeah.
are consistent. Like they're so
Yeah,
strong.
right. Right.
So, Anyway, so that's the clientele. I'd say majority women, people who are super kind. We don't like judgment. We don't like rude. We don't like
Sure.
entitlement. Kind women and men, but majority women who are just looking to have a nice time, make connection, and be in a good space. As far as diversity goes, different abilities will have, will offer modifications for people who have different needs, especially like we'll have a lot of people who just had a baby who are coming and they might need some modifications, especially for core work. And so we can always offer that. People who injure
Sure.
their foot, always, or foot or leg or whatever, always offer
Right.
modifications. So I think it's generally very accessible to most stages of life.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that, you're seeing such a range of age groups and also, getting into your 60s and 70s and 80s, you can still do it all,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to strength training. There's a lot of research that says that, starting at any age, you can generate benefit, right? There can be a significant influence that takes place on your health, even if you're not starting to strength train until you get up into your later decades and
Mhm.
you're having that experience. I mean, I don't know when these women had started and whatnot, but you're demonstrating that there's consistency and they are able to attend and engage in these classes maybe more successfully, I guess, is I don't know if that's the right word to use, but then compared to maybe people who are just starting or younger, right? And that would totally go against this
Yeah.
narrative that we have that, being in our younger years means we should be more fit or that we're more advanced in that as we get older, which don't get me wrong, as we get older, we do lose muscle mass and we become, less capable of doing the things maybe we did when we were younger, but committing to a solid movement routine that can completely offset all of that, which is so important that we remember.
Yes. And adding to that too, I think a lot of people, not a lot, but I would say maybe 12, 15, 20%, they'll also supplement our classes with other places. So
Okay.
like my mother-in-law, for instance, she is in her late 50s, and so she wants to focus on muscle development,
Yeah.
especially because um, she has some genetic disposition to like losing muscle mass, damaging her bones, all of that. And so she
Okay.
supplements the bar classes with lifting. I have someone
Okay.
who's coming who owns a spin studio who is coming to supplement their spin workouts because of just different muscle groups. People, like I've had people who like weightlift, like that's all they
Yeah.
do. And they'll come to class and they'll be very sore the next day because it just uses different muscles. So I'm
Yes.
all about like creating a nice diverse movement habit so that you can
Sure.
different muscles. And so people supplement with Pilates, running. We have a lot of runners who will supplement classes to just focus on like muscle development and all of that. So uh,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that. So, any other classes that you offer that maybe is different from traditional classes that you'd see? Any other classes you want to showcase that you offer? I'd love for you to kind of talk a little bit more about the studio and what you offer.
So we offer tons of different like bar classes, and you can see all of those on the schedule. Bar fusion, bar box, which has become really popular.
Okay.
It's kickboxing and bar combined, so it's a
Oh
lot
my
for you.
goodness.
Yeah,
Is
it's
this
fun.
all is this all evolving from your own mind or are you getting inspired from other studios?
Inspired from teachers, I would say. So the
Okay.
people I hire, they have autonomy to offer their own classes.
Oh, I love
And
that.
so yeah, it's fun. So they have, yeah, that's why I say like every teacher has their own style, and
Sure.
I celebrate their own style. Like
Of
I want you
course.
to try everyone. Uh,
Yeah.
so we have one teacher who teaches the bar box classes. We have other teachers who teach bar fusion, bar flow, which is like a yoga bar hybrid, bar sculpt, which is more of the weights, bar cardio, which is more cardio.
Okay.
Um, and then I teach my typical Beyond Bar classes, which is similar from class to class. But in addition to bar, we offer dance classes, which
Okay.
is makes my heart just so full. You could see it in my face right now. I'm like,
Yeah, 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 yeah,
it's my
yeah.
love. So I teach a dance cardio class 3 times a week,
Okay.
and that class has just been so fun. So that class style, it's designed very similar to how jazz class would be growing up. So you do your warm up in the center. Warm up includes strength training and flexibility training as well. So you have 10 minutes at
Okay.
the beginning of every dance cardio class to warm up, and then also focus on flexibility and just crunch, push-ups, tricep dips. Yeah, that's it. So
Okay.
So little, good ways to get some strength in there while also having a lot of fun. And then the last 50 minutes of the class is totally cardio, where I teach you dance through combinations. And so each combination is focused on for 4 weeks. And so I'll teach you the whole combo on week one. Second week, I teach the whole combo again as if no one knows it. And I do that again for the third and fourth week. And so by the fourth week, people are able to put their personality into it because they're really familiar with the moves and they're able
Okay.
to do it full out. They get a great workout in. You are sweating like crazy every class and you are having the best time. So you don't even really realize you're moving, which is so fun.
Yeah.
Music is great. And so, yeah, so that class is warm up, flexibility, strength in the beginning, and then the cardio portion where we're learning the moves. It's not like Zumba and that people are just following me. I like
Sure.
turn down the music. I teach you how to do the step. We all learn it together, and then we just do it a bunch of times with music until we get sweaty.
Okay. I love that. I feel like that is your whole life's
Hmm.
work to some extent.
Totally.
And going through college and feeling like dance could not be a career for me, and then now being able to create this beautiful class classes, but specific
Mm-hmm.
class that you're referring to, and being able to teach it, and marrying that with the realization that you and Denisio had last spring about bringing out the confidence in people. It sounds to me this is all of those things kind of merging together in this class, and I mean that makes me so happy. So I can't even imagine how happy that probably makes you.
It is the best. I can't even tell you.
Yeah.
Because I would say 85% of the people who have come to my class have never taken dance before. But it's
Yeah.
always the people, and I know there's people listening right now who've thought the same, like, oh, I always wanted to try it, but like as an
Sure.
adult, you feel embarrassed or you feel like, am I going to be judged? And
Mm-hmm.
it's the most safe space to try dance and look like my number one rule is you're not allowed to look at yourself unless you're like absolutely feeling it. So you can't look at yourself, you can't look at
Okay.
anyone else. You can only look at me until you're feeling like I'm gonna look at myself and I'm gonna enjoy this.
Yeah,
Then you can look at
right.
yourself. Like if I could
Right.
close the mirror for that class, I would because I want it to
Yeah.
be so just like dancing to dance and not to look
Mm-hmm.
anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so the people who try it, they're like every time. So I've never danced before,
Yeah.
or I'm not coordinated. I'm like, just come, like we'll teach it to you
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
way
Yeah.
that it feels right. And even if week one doesn't feel right, by week four you will absolutely get it.
Yeah.
You just got to keep coming and
Yeah.
having this no expectation, just move and sweat and you're fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that was the class that we had a lot of people, especially 2 weeks ago. I did like a big special where a bunch of people tried it and yeah, just seeing them just have like an absolute blast. The smile on the faces when they're walking out is the most gratifying thing for me in the entire world.
Yes.
And I'm also feeling the same way. Like I'll come on home and I'll be eating dinner and I'm like, I'm on a high right now. Like that was so
Yeah.
fun.
Oh, I love that. That is
Really, really fun.
so
Yeah.
beautiful and inspiring. And what you're doing, being able to feel so fulfilled and how it all came together, it's just I don't know, it's a really, really cool thing to hear and to learn about, and to kind of see this, the back end of things and how it's all unfolding for you. It's really, really amazing. And you're making a
Mhm.
huge difference. So
Yeah.
I'm really inspired by it. So good for you.
Thank you so much. You're so
Yes,
sweet.
of
Yeah, it's
course.
been a lot of fun. Like I've noticed I've never been like a partier in my life, but I never minded going out like dancing, like to nightclubs
Mm-hmm.
and stuff, because that was my only way of moving my body. But it
Yeah.
was also in a very late setting
Yes.
that was potentially dangerous. Alcohol would be involved. Like it wasn't
Sure.
a healthy environment,
Right.
right?
Right.
And I have no desire to do that now. Like I get my fill 3 times a week in the
Yeah.
daylight with water. Like I'm good.
Yeah,
No, we're
right. You
safe.
come home and you have a
Yep.
nice dinner, right?
Oh,
There's
it's
no
great.
hangover involved.
Nope.
It's good.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
You get
yeah.
that, like, I don't know what it is, the endorphins or the serotonin release, something where you just get that fill and yeah, it just makes your day. So
Yes. Oh my
wonderful. So I
goodness.
am very passionate about that class and I want everyone to try it because when people try it, they come back and that's the biggest dream come true for me.
Sure.
Really fun. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I love that. that makes me so excited for you and for those
Thank
who
you.
attend. And I'll have to definitely get myself there and try
Yes,
because I will
try.
be that person that says, I'm not a dancer.
I know everyone does.
So I will be that person, but I now you've convinced me, so I have to try it.
Good. Good. I'm glad.
So I want to finish off by asking you, what does wellness mean to you? I want to really understand, that now we've learned so much about you and your history at dance and moving into this new endeavor and seeing the success and what would you say wellness means to you?
Interesting. The first thing that came to mind is like if someone were to ask me how I'm doing,
Mm-hmm.
if I could answer I'm doing well, it would mean it would be a very holistic answer. Like
Yeah.
I'm doing well. I'm feeling really great. And then I would keep peeling back the onion.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I feeling great? Well, my body feels healthy, it feels strong.
Yeah.
It feels like it's supporting me.
Sure.
It feels like it's doing what I'm asking it to do.
Yeah.
The my gastro system feels healthy. Like I wake
Sure.
up feeling awake. I wake up feeling um clean. My mind is clear. I'm in a relatively good mood. Like there's all these components that I'm sure you talk about, like related to wellness that
Sure.
me, it's like what are the not secret, what are the key um ingredients maybe that kind of let fall everything else into place. My
Yeah.
sleep is good. Um, and so when I wasn't well, my sleep wasn't good. I had body aches. I wasn't eating well, and I just felt not confident in who I was because I just knew I wasn't doing the things that I would make me feel well. So,
Sure.
in short, my definition of wellness would definitely be a holistic perspective on am I taking care of myself and my needs? And if I am, do I feel well? And if I do,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That's beautiful. I love the you know me, obviously with the holistic approach and perspective on things. Definitely a whole body
Mm,
assessment, right? And understanding what it means to be well and in our own definition. I think that's really important that people find that for themselves, that we're able to
mm,
define it because we've got lots of definitions that are out there, but what's most important is how you define it, right? How you identify, how it resonates with you and how you find that manifests in your day to day. That's really what's most important.
yeah.
So, Sienna, I'd love for you to share with the audience where they can find you, what you might recommend to someone who might just be getting started,
Yeah.
and where they can connect with you.
Yes. So if you are trying to look for a really great, welcoming, friendly bar studio or dance studio for adults, you can check us out at beyondbarre.com, spelled BYONDBARRE.com. We're located in Lambertville, New Jersey, and it's such a fun little studio. If you guys want your first class free, sign up for a single class drop-in, and the promo code is first one on us. All letters, no spaces, all caps. So try it out, see me there, and you can always try any teacher's class is going to be great. Just stay away for any classes that say the word power in them. Those are generally the harder classes.
Okay. So don't
um,
start with the power,
don't
graduate
start
to
with
that.
power. They
Yeah.
might scare you at first.
Okay. That's fair. It's
But
honest, right?
I say stay away from cardio or power. Those words are kind of like level two classes, I would say.
Sure. Sure.
Um, and then if you're looking for any sort of other design needs, my business is Mosaic Collective, and the best way to find me is on LinkedIn. And then that's where you find all the links to all of the other things. So
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. And I will put all of Sienna's information in the show notes. So it'll be there. It'll live there. So you can always access it and the information um, for whatever you might need. But thank you so much for being here today, Sienna. It has been so wonderful to connect with you, to hear about your journey, to, getting into this space and really stepping into what sounds like your truest alignment in what you're doing in terms of your career and creating this space for others to find their own confidence and to feel good through something that has allowed you to feel good for so many years. There's nothing better and more fulfilling than that. So I'm so grateful for our conversation, and I'm sure the audience has found a lot of value in it. And I wish you all the best. I really do.
Thank you, Emily. This conversation was life-giving for sure. I
Yes.
love talking about it, as you can see. So,
Hmm.
I really appreciate you having me on here and
Yeah.
just hearing what I had to say.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. Well, thank you all for tuning in. It has been, valuable to me to listen to something that, has stemmed from a lifelong passion into something that is serving others. So I hope that you all, if you're local, you will check out Beyond Bar and head over to a class. I'll go with you if you want. So DM me. I will go with you. You can drag me
Yay!
there.
Go
For
with
all
her.
for all my non-dancers. I'm already nervous about it, but you and me we'll take it on together. But until next time, thank you for being here. Thank you for coming to the table and tuning in. And until next time, be well.